So today we're going to talk a little bit about hedges. So a customer had these podocarpus hedges put in. This is one of my, if not actually, it's my most used hedge. It's a very contemporary looking hedge. These are brand new planted, so they're a little bit spindly. This is a 15-gallon size, so they come in a bucket, you know, about this big. So it's not a huge size, but it's a very affordable size. So you'll get about 5 to 6 feet averagely on a 15-gallon size. The next size up, a 24-inch box, so a big 2 by 2 by 2 box. It's going to run you a good amount more money, you know, even just to buy 350, 500, you know, all sorts of stuff, you know. And then you got to take the soil out and all sorts of things. So, you know, generally we're kind of getting this size of hedge for privacy. It'll take a little bit longer to fill in, but it's just kind of worth it. And then you can shape it as it grows to how you need it. You know, you're going to want to trim the tops, trim the sides. You know, we're kind of late summer here on this property at this point in time, but you generally want to trim them in kind of like early-ish winter. It's just kind of a good time to trim them without shocking them and having them fry up from the sun after you trim it. So, you know, generally, you know, you have a couple little spindly areas kind of coming off, not super aesthetically nice. You know, you got some spindly parts coming off. Now it'll get a little bit of growth before we hit winter, and you'll notice the growth from a fresh green popping out of the outside, a very, very bright green on the podocarpus in particular. But really, you just want to shape it. You know, when you look at a hedge bush, you imagine how you want it to be, and you can't really just let it grow and do nothing about it if you want that full, compact privacy, right? So as this gets taller, you know, you might get some branches like this one coming out like this, kind of flopping over and stuff, right? So, you know, of course, as this grows a little bit more, you're going to want to just kind of contain it. And when you contain it like that, and you trim down, you get the bottom trim, and you just get a little bit off the top and all that, and get all the spindly guys off. Now it'll grow on the inside of the plant more, fill out, become a privacy hedge. You know, these are planted about 2.5, maybe almost 3 feet apart, which is a very nice spacing. So, you know, over time, this is going to be a full, compact, dense hedge, as long as you trim it properly, right? So some are a little shorter, so over time, you'll want to just keep them at the same height at the top and all that. Very drought tolerant. This podocarpus goes with almost any kind of landscaping, contemporary, Spanish, Mediterranean, you know, pretty much any kind of landscape you can throw these guys in. So it's extremely diverse. I recommend it very often. A huge factor in these is the root systems are essentially almost non-existent. You know, they do root down there and they get strong, but they're not shallow roots like ficus and maybe even a privet and cherry laurel and all these sorts of the larger leaves that you see a lot in like the Beverly Hills areas and all this, where they have that full 25-foot compact dense hedge. And you'll notice near all of those, unless they do a really substantial root barrier, you'll notice in all of those situations, all the concrete, all the walls, and everything around them are completely busted. Driveways are lifted, sidewalks are bicycle jumps, you know, skateboarder jumps, you know, and that happens with magnolias and some other trees and stuff. Sadly, a lot of these kinds of very invasive trees are actually planted in the city parkway areas, and they were planted 50 years ago. You'll notice they destroy everything. That's why you notice a lot of sidewalks and stuff in Pasadena are just completely destroyed by the magnolias and other trees. You know, you'll notice in more coniferous and evergreen type trees that they actually grow a little bit further down. There's not going to be much damage around them. Maybe sometimes they'll get a few shallow roots, but a lot of the time they actually stay kind of contained and just grow out and down a little bit, not just, hey, my root's way over there and destroying everything, right? So podocarpus, fantastic hedge bush. I want to use it all the time in almost all of my hedge plantings. It's just fantastic. You know, if you have the space for it and you really like that big leaf ficus look, and I understand that's what a lot of people want. If you really want that, you need to have the space for it. You need to do a kind of a ridiculous, probably just too expensive root barrier solution if you don't want it to destroy things, right? If you have a 10 or 15 by 15 or 15 by 100 planter area for your ficus and you want some huge ones, you know, in that case, you know, go ahead. You have the space for the roots to kind of spread out and destroy everything, because all it's getting into is the soil at that point. Don't put it behind retaining walls. Don't put it next to your neighbor's driveway. That's always the worst one, of course. So, you know, podocarpus, let's use it. It's bright green. You know, this is a smaller one. It does fill in substantially. It does become a full interweaving hedge over time, and it's fantastic.